Hello, good morning, grand risings to all you beautiful ladies. Today, I want to say welcome to this live. I am so pumped. I know it's like early in the morning. I have this little bottle of water, but I am so pumped for this live because I feel like based off what I have been reading about you ladies, what has been going on with you guys, that this is something that you ladies can really benefit from. And the live is about transmuting trauma into positivity and blissfulness. Now, we all have trauma. We all experience some form or some level of trauma in our life. And really, the trauma is different to different people. Now, some people can, I don't know if you guys have heard of this saying, but like two people can experience the same experience, but perceive it differently, take things away from it, take different things away from it. And that is because of how that person views the world and sees the world. So just saying that, all of us have trauma, all of us have went through things in our life that has affected us, and we have to be understanding of that. I feel like the first thing in transmuting your trauma into positivity and blissfulness is to see that everyone has trauma. And on top of the fact that everyone has trauma, your trauma may have affected somebody else. We can't say how our trauma may trigger someone else. We can't say that our trauma shouldn't trigger someone else how it did, but you never know. So my whole thing, maybe me yelling, well, I don't yell like that, but when I used to be really, really upset, I used to be really loud and really yell at people. And to me, it's like, well, I grew up in a household where it's loud. My family yells. My family is loud. So to me, it may not affect me like that. But to another person, it may. I can't see anybody who is popping up, nothing. So I hope that this is working. Hello, whoever has joined. I can't see who's joined. I can just see that someone's joined. So I don't know what's going on. I want to be able to see it, but I can't. Whatever. So, right. So you never know how your trauma may end up affecting someone else. Hi, Tiny. Okay, great. I know that you really wanted to see this live. So yes. Um, um, so yes, so the what was I talking about? Oh, yelling. You never know how your trauma can affect others. So for you to feel like, oh, my trauma, somebody else's trauma, or somebody else is doing something to me, they're wrong, they're bad, they're this, pointing the finger. You don't know how your own wounds affect other people around you. So you have to be aware of that and be honest with yourself about that and hold yourself accountable, because that is true as well. You got to be like, okay, well, I yell, you got to be able to take that into account. I had to be like, okay, well, that's something I want to work on with myself. I don't want to be a yeller. You got to be honest with yourself about your own wounds, the own things that you have to work on, because things are being shown outside of you to help you become the best version of yourself. That's why we're all here. We're spiritual beings having a human experience, and we're here to be able to get more connected with that spiritual nature, be able to see that all these things are around us, outside of us, and are different from us. This table is different. This computer is separate from me. This water bottle is separate from me. This phone is separate from you. Everything is not you. It's not this human form. But that's not true. Everything has manifested from the spirit. The human form, the table, the phone, the computer, all of these things have manifested, and it's coming from the same source. So we have to be able to understand that we are here to get more in tune with our spiritual nature. And because we are here to do that, we have to put things into practice, and we have to really be more in tune with those spiritual qualities, which is patience and love and peace and acceptance and joy. Like joy, sense of humor is part of being more spiritually in tune. But I did read sense of humor at the expense of another person is not the sense of humor of spirit, it's the sense of humor of ego. So like talking about what somebody else doesn't have, which I was really, really attached to when I was younger. I used to talk about what people didn't have, what they look like, and I thought that that was funny. So not that kind of sense of humor, but the sense of humor where people can feel included and connected and gain something from that. But I could talk about that in another thing. So another thing is to, when you're transmuting trauma into positivity and blissfulness, is to see the blessing in the lesson. So there is always something to learn. There is always something to gain from an experience, whether it's gaining a fact about it or it is gaining something that is good from the experience. So I was just talking to one of my clients in my program, and we were talking about a death in her family, and not negating that you should not be sad if someone dies or that you should grieve that process. Yes, grieve that process, cry. I condone crying. It is so healing, and it is emotions being released. But in seeing that that family member is no longer suffering, they have been suffering for a while, and that family member is no longer suffering, was a way that they can have some peace around the death. It can be other things that happen in your life now. This is really, I'm pushing the envelope here, but death is a really touchy topic. So I'm not saying that we should not grieve, but and death can be able to be seen, like I read in this book one time. They say, well, what about children who pass? You know, they was asking this other spiritual teacher, what about children who pass? How can you just say that, you know, oh, just be happier or whatever? And that's not what that person was saying, or that it was a lesson in it. But having a death of a child, maybe a miscarriage, it can bring people together, or it can bring people apart that was time to come apart. We all place these judgments on things. We all think that something is wrong, or something is right, or something is up and down. We have these duality things, and because we have these judgments on what things are, we can't see things for as it is. We see things as good or bad, and it's never just good or bad. It just is. It's just an experience. Spirit doesn't see things as good or bad. It just sees things as it is. If you're trying to manifest something and you need, for example, my coach always said, you have to be the person that you need to become in order to lead people in my business. So I had to experience adversity or temptation to not be faithful to my spiritual practice in order to gain that will to be a part of my spiritual practice. If you want to gain more faith, if you want to gain more discipline, there are going to be things outside of you that's going to tempt you to not be that. But in you sticking to whatever you said that you were going to stick to, you are building that discipline. Whenever I had went through a breakup, I still was meditating. I had never really did that before in my life, where I cried and I didn't numb it out. I didn't do anything else. I didn't stress eat, or I didn't, I don't drink, but if I didn't smoke or anything, I didn't, do anything to just like numb the feeling. I just sat there with my feelings and I cried, and then I meditated and I journaled. Days of doing this, and to really process and heal my heart from that breakup, which was really traumatic to me at that time. But the blessing was I needed that person to be removed out of my life so I can focus on things that really did matter, because they were distracting me from this, distracting me from when I was being more into my spirituality and things like that. they weren't really supporting that. And that's okay. That's okay. You know, we had our time. You have your time with people. And a lot of the times they're not there to stay for a long time. They're there to teach you a lesson. I had to focus on, there were a lot of things I learned from that relationship, and that I can apply to things in my life, that I can apply to other relationships, whether they are romantic relationships or other friendships in my life. So we have to be able to see that the lesson that is being learned, the blessing that is being given to us in that moment, and we have to focus on that. So just like when we focus on something that's negative happening in our life, we also have to focus on the blessings. And so just like when something unexpected or something that you don't want happens, and you just keep dwelling, like, this bad thing happened, this bad thing happened, this bad thing happened. The same way you do that, you have to now turn that into, this blessing happened, this lesson happened. You have to keep reminding yourself, because in you reminding yourself all the negative things that happen, you are affirming that to yourself. You are believing that in yourself. And that is why those experiences keep popping up into your life. So it's all about habits. We are habitual beings. We have to get in the habit of talking to ourselves positively. We have to get in the habit of seeing the blessings, seeing the lessons, so that when things happen, we automatically see, or maybe we get to a point, it's a work in progress, but we get to a point where we can just see the blessing. We can just see the lesson. We are just automatically in tune with our spiritual nature, and we're not going into ego, doubt, negativity, attack, defense, any of those other things, judgment, those things. So also be patient. Be patient. Things like transmuting your trauma into positivity and blissfulness is not going to be like, oh, I get into a car accident and now I'm just like bliss happy, you know, or positive about the whole situation. Allow yourself to feel your feelings. A lot of the times when we suppress the feelings, when we feel uncomfortable, it is coming up to be released, because that uncomfort is being pressed down. So that uncomfort needs to come up, and out, but we have to feel that. And a lot of the times we don't feel that. We start to feel it, you know, that tension in our chest, or I usually feel it sometimes in my throat. I'll just try to just like push it down. Well, I don't try to do that, but I used to do that, like try to just push it down. But in you feeling that uneasy or uncomfortable emotion, sit with that, experience that, cry with it, journal about it. Meditate on it when you feel like you can meditate on it, because sometimes you just won't be able to just sit there and quiet your mind. A lot of people just be like, oh, meditate. And it's like, you don't smack a meditation on it. My one mindset coach, she told me, you can put a smiley face on the dumpster, but the dumpster still stinks. So don't try to just smack smiley faces and positivity on things that don't deserve it at the time. There is a place to cry. There is a place to feel, to grieve, in the grieving process and all those things. That is normal. That is okay. And a lot of us feel like, you know, we really don't hold space for other people to be sad or be uncomfortable or feel their feelings, because we don't know how to feel our feelings. And that's understandable when another person cannot do that. We a lot of times expect other people to do things for ourselves that they don't even do for themselves. And we're setting ourselves up for failure when we do that. And I say we, because we are all connected. We are not separate. So we are all having a human experience as spiritual beings. So just putting that out there. But a lot of the people that I talk to, they do have that expectation that this person is supposed to love me or respect me or hold space for me. But it's like, do you hold space for that person? Does that person hold space for other people? Does that person hold space for themselves? So how are you expecting? Why are you well, not why, but how can you continuously expect this person to hold space for you if they don't do it for themselves? Stop doing that. Stop expecting that. Then you cannot be so affected by that. And that's why we really have to be able to see that what people are doing. We have to observe people. We have to listen to people. We have to listen to what they're not saying. We have to read between the lines. And a lot of people don't like this. Good morning, Sarah. And a lot of people don't like seeing it. You know, we always see the person's potential instead of seeing what it is for that moment, and that's okay. That doesn't mean that this person needs to be talking to us every single day. That doesn't mean we can't still love that person. That doesn't mean that we can't still extend light and blessings and harmony and peace to that person. But that doesn't mean that we need to have that person in our immediate space, that they need to come over and have tea with us every day. No, it's okay to have those healthy boundaries. So yes, and one last thing that I want to talk about is, you know, childhood trauma. So this is a really big thing because we're all affected by, we all have probably been through something in our childhood where our trauma has affected the way that we are in our world, in our adult life. And a lot of the things I hear with women I speak to and people in general is that they still are blaming their parents or their guardian or the person that looked after them. We grown, you know, you can like this or you cannot, but we are grown at this point. So we can't keep blaming these people. Yes, that is what happened. It did. It happened like that. But at the same time, you are now grown. So go to therapy, pick up journaling, pick up a hobby, do something you love, meditate. You know, now is the time for us to do something about it. So as irritating as it may be to be like, dang, you know, now I got to kind of fix this in myself because of what somebody else did. It may be irritating, but another way I want you guys to look at this, because this is my belief system and I'm me. So based off my suicide experience and everything that I've seen, everything I've learned over these years, we put ourselves in these lives. And I truly, truly believe this because I've seen this in my suicide attempt when I was seeing all of my lifetimes, basically. Like I saw all of my lifetimes. Oh, wow. And I know that we live multiple lifetimes. And what I seen was that, you know, I remembered all of my lifetimes. And it was just amazing how I remembered all of that. But in this lifetime, you don't remember that. There is no purpose in coming into a life, knowing the lessons that you're supposed to learn. And then knowing the lessons you're supposed to learn. What would be the purpose in learning the lessons? If you know the lessons you're supposed to learn, what would be the purpose in remembering, oh, I put myself into this life to learn this? No, you forget that. You forget that you made this plan for yourself. You forget that, I'll use my own experience. You forget that you chose a life where your father is going to pass when you are 3 years old. You chose the life where you are going to go to this college. You're going to choose this parent, this mother, this family, because this lifetime, this body as a woman, I'm going to experience myself as an African-American woman in the United States in the 21st century with this parent. This is going to how my life is going to be, because on a spiritual perspective, it just is what it is. It's not a good or bad life. It's just a experience to be able to help your soul grow. That's it. That's it. And then we come here and then we say, oh, that was bad. Oh, that was good. That wasn't supposed to happen. And that's not the case. It was supposed to happen so that you can learn something from it, so that you can know how to be more in tune with your spiritual nature. And that's really all there is. One last thing, just like when you're manifesting something in your life, you may want to, okay, like I said, I wanted to be a coach. I wanted to be a leader. And I had to experience, hi, Lori. Lori is awesome, y'all. She's some awesome sauce. But when my coach was like, who is the person that you have to become? I didn't think that it was necessary for me to experience all this temptation in my life for me to remember to be faithful. You know, how can I strengthen my faith? How can I strengthen my discipline if everything is going all peachy? Like, but did I want that to happen? No. If I could have avoided it, I would have wanted to avoided it. But that needed to happen to get me to where I wanted to go. So those are the things I want you guys to see, that we see things as bad. Like I did a live before about someone stealing my microphones. I had bought these microphones for my business and they were expensive, and somebody stole them out of my mailbox, and I had to go through all these like hurdles to get the microphones back, and that was really stressful. But I had to remember my peace. I had to remember my spiritual nature. I had to remember my strength in that moment, and that is the hard part. You know, the knowledge is easy to hear these things, but when stuff hits the fan, remembering all of your spiritual knowledge is the hard part. But that is the perfect opportunity for you to grow. That's just the truth about it. And you should be grateful for those experiences. Be grateful for the trauma. Be grateful for the things that you don't really like. I can go on so many different tangents on how that happened in my life. But be grateful for those things. And if you have any other questions about trauma, or what you would like for me to talk about, or what you would like for me to go more in depth about, please, please, please post it in the group, post it in the comments. Reach out to me personally if you don't want people to see the actual question or topic that you want me to talk about, so that I could just talk about it and no one knows that it's you. You can stay anonymous, and things of that nature. So this topic is really broad. I probably will go more in depth about it at a later date, but I hope you really enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the group, ladies. So peace out, and I have so much love for you guys.